because I was on a mission to heal myself, to become the best version of myself so I can help others. So I thought, this works. So when I find something that works that can help others, that's it, I'm going to do it. And I didn't realise I had so much more to clear myself. So me feeling that I'm not helping these students to the full best of my ability was because I needed to clear more traumas within me. And literally after that, I can't even explain. It's just gone from strength to strength. And that's the key. If you're going to use this process to help others, you need to experience it.
Hey guys, it's Dean from I&I Insight, and I'm excited to introduce another episode of I&I Interviews, the interview series in which I&I interview inspiring individuals who are creating positive change in the world through their work. In this episode, I'm excited to be joined by Morley. Lou is a relaxed kids coach and practitioner of an amazing emotion clearing process. Now, this process sounds really simple, but is actually really profound, and I've heard great benefits from all the people that she's worked with, and I've actually experienced it myself. In the video you'll see, at first, this is before I had the full experience, so I was a little bit skeptical, but if you watch until the very end, you'll see what actually happened and my feedback on the full experience. So watch this video with an open mind and not just learning about the process itself, but also lots of valuable tips for other people and therapists on how to develop and deliver the best quality with regards to their own healing and clearing techniques as well. I hope you'll find this interview interesting. So, Lou, welcome to I&I Interviews. How are you doing today, first of all?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah. How are you feeling about being on camera and doing this interview today?
Well, I feel a lot calmer than I did today, earlier.
Okay. Good. Were you feeling nervous earlier?
I was.
Yeah. But you're feeling better now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good, good. And obviously, you work in helping people to manage and process emotions in your work, which we'll get into a bit more detail later on. But I'm just curious as to how you managed your emotions today. Like you say, you were feeling a bit nervous before, and are you feeling better now? Do you use your own process on yourself, kind of on a day-to-day basis, or how do you manage that kind of thing?
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
But the main thing is the breath, the diaphragmatic breathing, breathing from the belly. So I eliminated the stressor of driving here. So I got a taxi, so I was able to practice the breathing techniques and not have to worry about anything else. So when I got here, I was super calm.
Ah, cool, great. So that's the magic then, is the breath.
Yes.
Could we do a quick demo of that diaphragm breathing?
Yeah.
Or a bit of an explanation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get people to put their hands on the belly. And you do all the breathing through the nose. So you breathe in, filling your belly up with the breath, like a balloon, and hold. And then breathe out slowly and steadily and feel the belly going down. So apparently this breath boosts oxygen, 17% more oxygen to the brain, and it has the power to calm down the nervous system. But with my process, this breath, with my process, has the ability to disconnect the emotion from the traumatic memories.
Wow. I feel like we've started going into the process already. I'm planning to get into more detail later and get a bit more background, but we'll see how the conversation goes. But yeah, it's interesting that breathing, because it's something that I'm aware of, and it's something that I've watched a video about recently actually. Do you know Maccabee?
No.
Maccabee's an old reggae artist. He does these videos on Instagram and stuff about like healthy eating and stuff. He does like little reggae raps about vegan food, and he did one the other day about breathe like a baby.
Yes.
And he did like a rap about belly breathing, and yeah, it's something that I need to practice more. So for people watching this video, you might catch that I'm going to slip back into kind of my normal everyday breath, and I'll have to try and practice this more in my own time, because it's funny, isn't it? Like, I think that a lot of people in life, we've kind of trained ourselves out of our natural breathing.
Because we're born knowing. If you watch a newborn baby, they breathe from the belly. So they know how to regulate the nervous system, and as life goes on, you know, stress happens, and then they naturally forget if the adults around them aren't practicing that and reminding them, obviously when they get older. So I do say, you know, you used to do this breathing. You won't remember, but, you know, when you were a baby, you knew how to do it. So I'm just reminding you.
And how is it that stress interrupts or affects the breathing? Like, why do you think people start to breathe more shallower breaths with stress in life?
Well, it's like you were consciously aware when we were doing the breathing, of breathing into the belly, because that fully inflates the lungs. So when the belly comes out, you fully inflate the lungs, and then when you breathe in, you fully inflate the lungs. When you breathe out, you're getting rid of all the stagnant air. And when we're stressed, we breathe shallow. But not only that, when we forget to do the belly breathing, we're just practicing breathing shallow all the time. That's when compounded stress happens, is like when you get like pains in your chest, panic attacks and things like that. It's because you're just using the top part of your lungs. So when people come to me, whether they're in a panic attack or whatever, at least I know I just need to distract the brain and go into the breathing. So make them laugh. And sometimes they don't want to laugh when they're in a panic. So I create some brain confusion, and then we're able to do the breathing, which then disconnects the emotion. So that can be done. I think the fastest I've done that is in 10 minutes. And usually they say to come out of an emotion, it usually takes about 45 minutes from the point of starting to calm down. But I've done that in 10 minutes. And then they've gone back into the panic after, and then we've just cleared the next layer of the panic. So add another 5 minutes on, and they're back regulated again, and able to carry on with the day.
Amazing. So it looks like we're getting into it. So maybe just we'll take a step back, and if you can just explain to us, what is this emotion clearing process? What does it entail? You've started to describe already some of it, but what does it entail, kind of step by step? What is the process and how does it work?
So we start by saying, can you get the bad feeling back? And if they can, well, we can all get the bad feeling back, but are they prepared to get it back? The brain doesn't know the difference between something real that's happened or something that's imagined. So if people do struggle to get the bad feeling back, I get them to imagine being there again. And then what happens is I get them to score it to a 10. So 10 is the worst it can be. So that helps me gauge when it's going down and when it's gone. Because when it's gone, it's a 0. So I get them to get it to a 10.
And how do you do that? Do they just try to remember or kind of
so
sink into it?
Go back to that bad feeling, see if you can get it back, and if you can get it to a 10, and or whatever number you can get it to.
So say, for example, hypothetical situation, you know, something happened at work, and I've been feeling a bit angry, and then I come to you, and I say I've been feeling a bit angry, and then you might say, okay, can you like really go into that and remember and bring it up and see if you can maximise it? Is that kind of how that bit works?
Well, anger's a little bit different, so I have to
Okay.
deal with that a little bit differently because anger's like the tip of the iceberg.
Ah, right.
So there's other emotions below it.
Mm-hmm.
They're all interlinked anyway.
Mm.
So what I do with anger, because you've had to learn to be angry, so there'll be a few core memories as you've grown up. Because like the first time you got angry, then the second time you got angry, you got better at it. The third time you got angry, you got even better at it. So I get you to pinpoint some core memories of being angry and losing your shenanigans. And so I'll have to write down is 1, 2, 3. If you've got 3, I've done 4 on someone before, and then we do the same process. So so we've got you to a 10. So you've got it to a 10, and as soon as you've got it to a 10, I create some brain confusion, and I go, bloop, does that make sense? So if you was to say yes, the subconscious mind is not ready to release this emotion yet. And that's not a bad thing, because it's my job then to ask some questions to prepare the brain really to let it go, because we are running on the programs, because that's all in the subconscious mind. So I create the confusion. If you was to if you say yes, you're holding on to it. If you say no, then you're ready to move on with the breathing. That's how I know your brain's ready to move on with the breathing, to release it. So literally you say no and we do the belly breathing. We go straight into the belly breathing, and then a few breaths in, I'll get you to check if it's gone down. So it could be an 8 or at that point. So I encourage you to check in with yourself as you're doing the breathing. And just keep doing the breathing until it's a 0.
Okay. So do people generally find it easy to get it up to a 10, and does it have to get to a 10 before you start the process,
No,
or does it
sometimes
could be an 8 or a 9?
it can be a 7.
Okay.
Or 5. But mostly they find it really easy to get to a 10.
Okay. And is it still worthwhile? You can still go into the process if it's only like a 7 or an 8.
Yes.
And then you work down from there.
Definitely.
Still. Okay. Great.
And you just know, you feel it in your brain and your body. You just know when that it's like the pressure just releases in the brain.
And how long does it take then? So you just so you bring the emotion up to as high as you can, to 10 hopefully, and then you do the kind of funny noise, which is kind of like a brain interrupt. Is that the way to describe it?
Interruption.
And then you do the diaphragm belly breathing, and you just continue that breathing for as long as is necessary to get it down to 0.
Yeah.
And the people generally all get to go all the way down to 0, or does sometimes people maybe get stuck at 3 or 4, or does it?
Sometimes, and sometimes it'll take like a question. I wonder what it will feel like to be free from this. So if they are stuck on a 3 or a 2, sometimes that does happen. So if they stay at that number for a few breaths, then I'll ask them the question, I wonder what it's going to feel like to be free from this. Breathe in again. Hold and breathe out. And it just goes down.
So it can take, in terms of time, how long does it generally take to process one emotion, or I guess it varies?
It does vary.
Yeah.
One person took about half an hour per emotion, but generally it's quite fast. The quickest being a minute.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like, because I work in a school and the students can come to me whenever they need it. I have an open door policy because this is so good. So if a student's been coming to me regular, then literally it's been known to be as fast as a minute.
Ah, okay.
Because they know the process, they come, they just pop by and just do it really quick. In fact, I don't even say anything to them. I'm like, it's a 10, isn't it? Yeah, that makes sense. Nope, breathe. It's as quick as that.
Great. And do you see, you mentioned that people who've maybe been and experienced the process before, they maybe come in and they know the process and they get into it, and maybe it works more efficiently for them once they've practiced it before, or maybe a few times. Then when they practice it again, it's simpler and quicker. Is that right? And maybe if something is the first time, it might be a bit slower.
It varies. Some people come and they're literally so fast at it. It just depends on their experiences, what they've experienced, how much trauma they've got. Everyone's so different, but ultimately it's the same process.
And could you tell me maybe a little bit about what kinds of emotions children come to you with in your school on a regular basis? What are the common ones?
Well, you know the movie Inside Out?
Yes, it's very good.
Yes. Well, I have them characters up in my room, and that's a good baseline because they're familiar with that. And 9 times out of 10, they've all watched it.
So who are those characters? Which emotions again?
So sadness, anger, disgust, embarrassed. There's ennui, which is boredom, but I don't have a problem clearing that. They're allowed to be bored. Anxiety. That's a big one. I think that might be it.
So which ones the kids tend to come? All of them.
Yeah, apart from the boredom one, because they're allowed to be bored. So that's a good baseline. It's a good starting point because they've watched the movie, they're familiar with them emotions, and so that's where we start. Because it's a non-verbal process. I've actually been on some trauma training. A lady that set up the programme from lived experience, sexual abuse lived experience, no support out there, so she's done her own training. Did some training with her, and she let me know the word alexithymia, and she said that's an emotion where you haven't got the words to express how you're feeling.
Right, yeah.
Right? So this has been key for me, because sometimes students come to me and they haven't got the words to express how they're feeling. So I know if they haven't got the words to express, they must be feeling like a sensation of like overwhelm or a feeling like something bad is going to happen, even though it might not be happening now. So I've worked with a few students and recognised that straight away, and been able to, I'll say, are you feeling a bit overwhelmed? And they're like, yeah. And then they look a bit relieved in the face that I'm able to, help them with that. And obviously, they don't know where this feelings come from or why. So I said, I can then say, would you like to do the process after I've explained it to them, obviously. And they do. And I get them to rate on a scale. 100% is feeling the best, joyful. Best that they can feel. And 0 is not good at all. So I get them to do that before we really start, so I know whereabouts on the scale they are, I know how bad they're feeling before we even start. So 100% is absolutely brilliant, happy, joyful. Yeah, so I'm constantly gauging whereabouts they are, so I know what number they're at when they get to me. When we clear the emotions, I say on the percentage scale, how you're feeling. So when we process one emotion, obviously there's loads more emotions in in that movie. But when we've processed one emotion, the percentage scale starts going up. So then I say, is there any other emotions that you're feeling?
Right.
So we can work with it that way. So it's just how they're feeling. Some stop at 80% and they're like, I can't find any more. I'm like, well, that's good. Even them feeling 50%
Yeah.
is brilliant. So anything above what they came to me with is a bonus.
And so when the children come to you, this is secondary school children,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So it's kind of like 13 to 16
11.
year old, 11 to 16, yeah. And yeah, so are they, do they come to you directly of their own accord? Are they referred to you by a teacher? Does it come, you know, at a time when maybe a student's just had a row or been kicked out of a class or something like that? Does it?
It's a mixture.
Right.
When I first started, there was a strict referral process. But there's not now because from personal experience, I believe that when something's bothering you, it needs to be dealt with then to eliminate any long-term problems to arise from, you know, holding it in or being on a waiting list. Things are already bad enough. So within, 6 years of me being at school, I've been able to be there when they need me. So if they can be referred to me, they can drop by. So if they've seen me before, they're welcome to come again. And if, so I get everyone referring, so safeguarding, year managers, they're the ones on the shop floor, because what I found hard when I first started there is knowing who's struggling. Like if I've seen them, it's like, how am I going to know if they need me again unless they physically come to me? So over the years, I've created with the team at school, a support network where the year managers know the ones that are struggling the most. So they'll send me an email and I'll pretty much pick them up as soon as possible, if not the same day. And it's really rewarding being able to be on tap.
So do you go and find the students yourself as well and invite them to come in?
Yes.
If a staff member has said, oh, so and so's struggling a bit at the minute, could you check in with them? And then you might go and find that person.
Yeah, but it's not me alone. There's a team. There's a team of us. So it's only me doing what I do.
Right.
So there's a nurture team. I couldn't do this on my own, and it's the team that makes it.
Yeah, and they do other things. They do other forms of care for these students.
They do.
But is it just you that specialises in this emotion clearing process?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that your total focus? Is that your own modality that you work on with those students, or do you use other practices as well yourself?
Yeah, well, I trained in Relaxed Kids, so I'm a Relaxed Kids coach.
Right.
So with that training, I learned a 7-step programme to get them to work through their energy levels to get to a state of being able to meditate. So that's how I started off at the school. That's what I was employed to do. After volunteering for 3 months, doing that, my manager now, she was tracking the students that I was working with, and they improved in all areas, behaviour, attendance, and that was before I was doing this emotion clearing process. And it wasn't until a year into the school that I had the emotion clearing process done to me, because I was on a mission to heal myself, to become the best version of myself so I can help others. Came across this gentleman called David Ian Rogers, and that was my first experience of the brain clearing. It's like a rewiring of the brain. It's absolutely phenomenal. Having a conversation with him after that was And I says, well, could you come into school and do a talk with my students? He said, I'll do better than that, I'll send you the formula. So I've learnt this, the formula, and found my way with the students, you know, literally talking to them. I've got this process, obviously ran it by my manager to see if it were all, you know, all okay to do it that way. I said it's a complete process that you do yourself, fully aware. There's and she says, well, yeah, they're doing it on their own, just creating the brain confusion, and they're doing the breathing. If they didn't want to do it, it's their choice. And I do get like 1% that don't want to, and that's absolutely fine.
So could you tell me a little bit more about how you found out about this process, how you found out about David, and what was your experience?
Through a friend. So I contacted him, and we did it during COVID. We did it over COVID, over Zoom, or on Zoom or Skype, so over the internet, and it was just life-changing. I went back to him, so I started at school after that, so I thought, this works. So when I find something that works that can help others, that's it, I'm going to do it. So a year on, I felt that I wasn't quite getting to the root of the students' traumas, and I just felt I need another appointment. I need to meet him, and he was running like an event at Manchester, like face to face. I've not met him face to face, even though I felt like I already knew him. And yeah, so I went in person, met him in person, and I didn't realise I had so much more to clear myself. So me feeling that I'm not helping these students to the full best of my ability was because I needed to clear more traumas within me. And literally after that, I can't even explain. It's just gone from strength to strength, strength to strength. Whereas, like, I may have had some doubts, oh, I can't do this, quietly in my head. It's like, oh, why aren't they clearing? But the key is that when they get stuck on a number, it's like, oh, the brain needs some help to release. So that's why I create, you know, I wonder what it's going to feel like, what it's really going to feel like to be free from this. And that is the only question really that I need to ask. And then that shifts it down.
Amazing. So I'm curious as to what that release or clearing feels like, how it felt for you experiencing it, how it feels for the people who you provide this service to, because you know, there's a lot of different healing modalities out there, lots of different healing practices that, you know, can sometimes feel like an emotional release, and you almost like a purge. You have to kind of go through it and, you know, really release your anger, or really release your grief, or release your sadness, or whatever it is, in you know, a very emotional, obvious physical emotional way. Does your process lead to those kinds of responses? Is that part of it, or is it more of a clearing, a disappearing?
So it does just disappear for some people. For me personally, it felt like it was like literally coming out of my brain, and then I couldn't get it back in, because the end of the process, I say, can you get any of it back? I'd like you to try now to get it back. So when it's got to a 0, I say, right, I need you to try and get it back, get some of it back, get all of it back. Really try hard to get it back. And so then you're trying to get that bad feeling back. Sometimes you can, because there's another layer to it. So then we go through the process again. Sometimes they can't get it back at all. So during it as well, it might move, so they might feel it in the chest. So if they're clearing like a panic, fear, they might feel it in the chest as a sensation. I felt some releases in my throat, and you just feel like an energy blockage. And as you're doing the breathing, you feel really in control, because with each breath, it gets easier and easier. And I find, you see, you don't need any other techniques with it. The breathing is all. But I find that if you tap the area that you're feeling that discomfort in, combined with the breath, it helps it to release. And then when they finish the breath, I get them to feel that area again and how that feels. If they still feel a little bit, then we keep doing the tapping, and then we keep checking in until it's gone. Sometimes it can move, so it can start here and move down, and that's the really good sign it's moving. Like I say, for me, I did experience some of that, and that's the key. If you're going to use this process to help others, you need to experience it, because it's having that understanding of what it feels like. I once helped this lady, and she was clearing years of being abused, and her head, literally during the release, her nervous system was shaking, like her head was shaking, and I just sat with her, and she just continued to do her breathing. I was guiding her with the breath until there was no more movements. And she's like, during it, she was like, wow. So it wasn't like, it's not a fear feeling when you're in the process, because with each breath it's releasing, and that's reassuring. So that was my first experience of someone releasing that dramatically. But hearing a story, it's understanding the amount of trauma that she was releasing. Absolutely phenomenal. It's not always that dramatic. Some people like come to me and they've got a headache, and then they release the trapped emotion, and they're like, I came in with a headache and it's gone. I'm like, yes.
And can you provide maybe a little bit more of a, I suppose, scientific explanation as to how it works, like what is actually going on in the body and the brain when you do this process?
This is scientific that you're going to get from me.
Okay.
So there's 3 key areas of the brain that I'm working with: the prefrontal cortex, logical thinking and planning, the hippocampus, that's responsible for, obviously that's the memory, and that's main job is feelings, remembering how someone makes you feel or experiences make you feel, and the amygdala, fight and flight response. So we're rewiring basically with this process the amygdala. The amygdala is usually the one that's activated the most. All them 3 areas of the brain need to be working in unison. So if you're in the fight and flight response, you cannot learn. So this is the key to students, for example, not being able to sit down and learn at school, because they're in the fight and flight response. You take them out of the fight and flight response, and then they can take it all in, which grows the memory. If you're in fight and flight response a lot, compounded stress, the memory shrinks. That's as far.
And how does the actual process that you're doing interact with those?
So it
parts
activates
of
the prefrontal cortex, the logical thinking and planning.
Okay.
So it calms down the nervous system.
I see.
And it activates that. So the results are students are become emotionally regulated. The more they come with, for example, the anger, we go to so many core memories to get to the root of the anger. And an example is a student came to me, was referred to me because he was really angry at getting into fights at school. He came to me and we cleared 3 core memories and of the anger, and underlying that was sadness. So we cleared that as well. And 2 weeks later, he came on by my room, and I says, "How are you feeling? Are you managing life? Are you getting angry lately?" And he says, "Nothing, nothing at all." I says, "What about the sadness?" "I don't feel sad at all." So I emailed the teacher back, and I says, "I've had a check-in with this student, see how they're getting on." And she says, "We've seen a noticeable difference in the student. Thank you for your support." So I had nothing else to do. Nothing else to do for him. But he knew he could come back. That was brilliant feedback. To have that feedback from the student and have that feedback from the teacher actually seeing on the shop floor the improvements.
And you mentioned earlier, I think, something about kind of attendance, behaviour. So are those kind of impacts that you see generally across the board that the school has seen from this process? And I suppose how has that affected life in the school, I imagine?
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
They've got someone to refer to when there's no one else to do it. I mean, there is a good support in place at that school anyway. I'm just one of other things that are going on, which is absolutely fabulous. But I am the only one that processes the traumas. So even they refer to me if they feel it necessary.
So you've spoken about your experience working in the school and how that's affected these teenagers that you're working with. But you do also work with adults, don't you, on a one-to-one basis, on a kind of a private therapist basis. So I'd be curious to know what are the similarities, what are the differences between the emotional experiences of the children, the teenagers you work with, and the adults in terms of what emotions they might be struggling with, how they deal with them, and how they respond to the process.
Children are easier because they're not as conditioned into a certain way. The older the child's of 15, 16 years old, some can hold a lot of traumas, so it's the same as the adult, same, length of time and everything like that. But I had to develop it differently to work with adults because I needed a framework like what David used, but in my own way. So I had to create it in my own way that I felt comfortable. Because learning a process, like going on some training and learning something, their way is different. It's different because when I had the process with David, it's like, oh gosh, I wish I could do it like him. And but it's not about doing it like someone else. It's about finding your way, your unique way of doing it. Because that way you're more comfortable in the process, and it's just it's tuning in to that person at that moment. And that's basically how I developed it. Having a set. I used to think, for example, a student coming to me, I had to get them to 100. Feeling joyful and happy. That's not the case. And as I relaxed more into learning my way of doing it, finding my way, I became more confident at it. So now, one particular student I was supporting for a lot of years at the school, she has just left. Well, they've just left. And her feedback was, it works 100% of the time. I laughed when I read that, but I'm like, you've left at a 5, which is like really not feeling good. So we've started the process, and then she's like, no, I've had enough. And she's left at a 5, and I'm like, that's fine. And for her to write that, I said, so how come you can put this in the feedback, it works 100% of the time? She says, because I carried it on when I left the room. So I'd go back to class and do the breathing. I'm like, that is phenomenal. That is exactly what I wanted to achieve from supporting the students, to empower them with a process that they could do themselves.
Yeah, that's really nice, and maybe not always the case with a lot of kind of healing modalities that, you know, sometimes we go to a therapist to receive a certain therapy, a certain treatment, and they might do a great job, but then we don't necessarily know how to do it ourselves. So I think that this process is so simple, and you give them the information to empower them to actually use it themselves on an ongoing basis as well.
But this process complements any other as well. Every process has a place. Any form of healing has a place. But this complements. I've had students that have been going to counselling, and then they have to come to me after to process the emotions that brought up for them. Because they've recognised how they've felt after they've left me, and how they've felt after leaving that. So that is brilliant that they've had that tool.
And I've heard you mention to me previously that with your adult clients, I think you do a structure where you have an intensive session with them and work through a good bunch of emotions, but then you offer some aftercare afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
But then a lot of the time people don't come back for the aftercare because they've already dealt with everything.
Yeah.
Is that?
Definitely. So sometimes we can clear everything in the one session. Whatever the subconscious mind is ready to release in that moment, that's what we do. And I'm aware that I had a lady that she messaged me 2 days later, and I literally said, right, we'll Zoom and do another session. And she was so grateful. I said, this is part of what I offer, because it's part of the healing. It's like, I don't want to just do half a healing or have to get you to pay to come back. This is a block. This is how I like to do it.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying this episode of I&I Interviews so far. If you are, and you'd like to continue to watch, I'd ask you just one small favour. Go to my website, go to IInsight.com/community, join my I&I community mailing list, and you'll get immediate access to the second part of this video. Here's a glimpse of what's still to come.
And that's been the key really for me, supporting the adults and the children, is how to enable them to start using this process on their own. So what happens is, the next time they're triggered in that emotion, they won't feel the same way.
Over the course of the couple of hours, working through all these emotions, it was almost like a map of these emotions and experiences in my mind and in my body slowly becoming disconnected and reduced. I feel like I haven't really been affected by any of those emotions again.